This is a new construction that Santa Cruz put on some of their boards that's thinner, stronger and more pop. It's like almost like a Kevlar top sheet on it, and it's called a VX deck. That's the type of ply that it has on the top ply.
Alright, it's your man Brett from the Skateboarding Show, and I have the pleasure of being sat with this gentleman. May you introduce yourself, please?
My name's Chris Allen, and I am one of the owners of Shiner and have been involved since my dad started doing it in 1976, but on a full-time basis working in the business since 1984, so 36 years.
Wow. So it was originally started by your dad?
Yeah.
In 76?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in 76, which was the peak of the first time around in the UK. And
was it purely, I mean, give us a brief description of what you do now. What is your main business?
Well, our main business is skateboards and skateboard clothing. We make a lot of skateboard clothing under license for American brands for Santa Cruz and independent. So Santa Cruz skateboards and independent trucks.
So you're a distributor. So
we distribute and manufacture. Right. So we now sell all over Europe and even a few places outside Europe. So some of the places like sort of Israel and Russia,
right,
and places like that. And we're also starting to sell some product even into the US.
So, just in case you're totally new to skateboarding, what that means is Chris and his company bring products mainly from the US and then literally distribute them out to retail outlets in the UK. So when you go to your favorite skate shop, they haven't necessarily bought a whole load of indie trucks from America. They've probably bought the independent trucks.
They definitely have.
They definitely have.
Come from here.
They absolutely have.
Yes, and not just the UK, but with brands like Independent Trucks, we have the distribution for UK, for Portugal, for Finland, so a number of other smaller countries outside the UK that are part of Europe and the EU.
Okay, and we'll keep it quite skateboard specific, but you also do other products as well.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
which is
because
cool.
if we just relied on skateboarding, over the years we wouldn't have stayed in business, because skateboarding used to have real peaks and troughs in sales.
Yes, and we'll come back to that, because that's again. So we'll rewind back to 1976, massive peak in skateboarding in the UK, and is that purely what your dad started doing for distributing skateboards?
Yes, so he started distributing skateboards in October 1976.
Wow. And
just skateboards, and it was a handful of brands. It was a brand called Bel Air, a brand called Kryptonics, ACS trucks.
Right, okay. I've heard of those last two.
And then after that, skateboarding in 1977 started to slow down, 78 even more.
Right.
And by 1979 there was hardly any business left at all. So he got into, started selling some quad roller skates, and also got into selling American branded BMX bikes.
Okay.
So a brand called SE Racing.
Right.
And a brand called Hutch, who were really big in BMX. And then a couple of years after that, by 1980, we were selling Haro bikes as well.
So that all sounds a very sensible move, because my basic understanding, I mean, I was very young, I was around in the 80s, but you know, the roller discos and that whole sort of BMX blowing up must have been something that helped the business to survive and continue Did you ever do stuff like Bauer? Did you?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah,
right.
We were the first people that bought the Bauer ice skates off the Bauer distributor. Right. Chopped the ice blades off and mounted roller skate plates onto them.
So we're the ones that invented, or Shiner as a company are the ones that innovated that.
Are you joking?
No.
Wow. Because I do remember going to roller discos in the 80s. Like, granted, like sort of maybe late 80s, like 87, 88, something like that. And all the bigger boys.
We started doing that in probably 83, 84.
Well, this was in the south of England, and definitely in a place called Horsham near Crawley. And all the bigger, cooler, older boys and girls had, you know, you weren't anything unless you had some Bauer skates on.
Yeah, with Sims wheels.
Yeah, or like, and possibly, and also including two-tone wheels. Like you needed your wheels to kind of flash as you went around because they were two different colours. Wow. Okay. Right. And again, not trying to tell you about it, but certainly my understanding of skateboard history in the UK is that sort of 10-year cycle. So although it had been big in the sort of 77 and then sort of died down again, by the time we get back around to the late 80s, skateboarding.
89, 90 was the peak.
Right.
Again,
okay.
And then the next time after that was sort of 2001. And as the years went by, the peaks and troughs got smaller, so rather than having big ups and downs, it was more
And did
consistent.
the peaks and troughs get closer together, or did they?
No. Well, in the last 20 years, there's been a good skateboard scene consistently, with a few ups and downs, but there's been enough to run a business on just with skateboarding.
Right.
Since sort of 2001, which was the peak of the last big peak and trough.
Because now you're definitely getting into my era, you know. By 2001, I'm like 22. I'm like right in it. I've got a full understanding, and my basic understanding and my basic observation was that the Tony Hawk games like just did so much for skateboarding. They just and pushed us They sort of burst the bubble and pushed us into the mainstream a little bit. So we now had a load of youngsters getting involved in skateboarding that, dare I say, weren't the usual type that maybe got involved in the late 80s or early 90s like I did.
Well, in the sort of in the 80s and 90s, everyone that rode a skateboard had an interest in them, and that's what made them want to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas in the early 2000s, there were a lot of kids that got into skateboarding because of like Tony Hawk PlayStation games. Because of video games, who otherwise wouldn't have had any interest at all.
No, they wouldn't have. And what's interesting to hear is because all of us skateboarders have got an opinion, everyone's got an opinion, but not everyone's got the facts and figures behind them in terms of sales. Because I think that's always a quite interesting thing, you know, like, yes, we can all hear what everyone thinks happened, and then we can look at the actual raw data of, like, we can show you sales figures that show you these peaks and troughs in the popularity of skateboarding. And it's interesting to hear.
We've got nearly 45 years of history of that.
Wow. And have you got all those sales figures still?
Not exactly.
And if so, why haven't you got them here on presentation for me right now? No.
Yes, I've got a good idea of what they are. I have got a lot of them written down.
Wow.
Somewhere. I'm not quite sure. I couldn't put my finger on them in 5 minutes for you, but yes, I can access a lot of that information.
Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, as you say, you've probably also got it in. And I mean,
a lot of it's in my head.
Yeah. I mean, even that basic understand, even that the thing that you're saying about the. I know there's a mathematical term, but the difference in the peaks and the troughs getting less and less as time goes on, and you were saying more so in the last 20 years. So that sort of post Tony Hawk game period, the peaks and troughs were getting the difference in the height, and the difference between the low and the high was getting less and less.
And in the 70s and 80s and 90s,
there's a
people that got into it because they had a real enthusiasm to go out there and be a skateboarder. Whereas now, skateboarding's a lifestyle and a sport. it's going to be in the Olympics this year,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's something, it's a lifestyle that every, not just male, but girls as well, have at some time. Most of them actually have a skateboard during their sort of early years and teenage years and early 20s.
I think, yes, definitely the number of people that have a skateboard, whether they call themselves a skateboarder or not, and I think that what I'm hearing is that that's roughly what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Like, in the 80s and 90s, you were a skateboarder. If you were into skateboarding, you were a skateboarder.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there might be more youngsters, like you say, who have a skateboard along with maybe their scooter and along with a rugby ball and a football and everything else that they have that they might go and choose from to do.
Yeah. So in another 10 or 20 years time, if you ask everyone who's between the age of 40 and 60, have they ever had a skateboard, most of them will say yes.
Yeah, there's a much bigger number that are going to say yes. And are you purposely aware of that sort of stuff? Because does that affect the way in which you run this business? That sort of cultural side of it?
No, it doesn't. But it's good to actually have people that aspire to want to have a skateboard. A lot of them will get a skateboard for Christmas, use it for a month, and then put it in the cupboard and never use it again.
Right.
But for every 10 people that do that, there are probably 2 that will end up skateboarding forever.
On. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've always been aware of that of the triangle. If you have numbers going up that axis, age going up that axis and numbers of participants along this axis, allegedly, I've been told it's like a triangle. So you've got youngsters, loads and loads of youngsters that all take up skateboarding, and then as they get older, the numbers of them get less and less.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I heard recently, and maybe you'll be able to confirm or deny this, is that apparently the latest set of figures are saying that actually there's now a slight bulge in the sort of 25 to 35-year-old age bracket, where actually that's been one of the few areas of growth in skateboarding in the last sort of
I
5
don't
years
know
or so.
that exactly
Right.
from information that I've got access to, but it's probably highly likely
Right.
that there are a bigger percentage of people in their 20s that have skateboards than there were a decade ago.
10, 20 years ago, yeah, for sure, yeah. Okay, so we could sit here and talk skate history all day long.
Yeah.
I'd quite happily do that. But what I was also very interested in, you very kindly just took me around the warehouse, which again, I could have spent all day in there just going, oh, you got one of these, oh, look at these wheels, oh, look at these trucks. Love that, totally love that. But
it's something that I take for granted a little bit, because I've seen it nearly every day of the week for 40 years or 40 odd years, and to people that have never been here and suddenly see this, it just blows their minds.
Yeah. I was proper just like, that's a lot of skateboards.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Look at this. Yeah. And then you very kindly brought me into what you call the R&D room, the research and development room.
Yeah.
And started explaining about how you create some products on license.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little under license, right? Okay. May you explain a little bit about that, because I was interested in that.
So there are certain brands that we make under license for US brands and distribute them throughout the whole of Europe, not just the EU, but the whole of all European countries.
Right. Okay.
And so what we actually do is we do some of the design. Some of the design is done by the American companies.
Right.
So for example, in skateboard hard goods, we make all Birdhouse skateboards and skateboard decks under license. Birdhouse design all the pro models.
Right.
And they're released at a certain time that's in conjunction with the US. A lot of the team boards and logo boards, we do the design here. They also sell those boards in the US as well. So the whole line, the total Birdhouse line, is the same in the UK and Europe as it is in the US. But we design some and Birdhouse design some of them.
Right, okay.
And all those boards are made in the same factory.
Right.
So they're the same. So
yeah.
even though we design some of them, it's
And you've put the order in for 500 of them to be made.
Yes, yeah.
They're coming from the same wood shop.
Yes.
And coming straight over to the UK.
Yeah. So they're shipped directly from the wood shop to us.
Right. Yeah. So they're not even going
the US,
from the wood shop to the US to here. They're going straight from the wood shop straight to here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the same with or similar with we make Santa Cruz and indie clothing under license for Europe.
Wow.
And we do a lot of design here. So
I mean, I'm saying wow because those are two massive, great big names in skateboarding. Like Santa Cruz and that's not like some kid's little bedroom company we're talking about. Like that's Santa Cruz and independent.
Yeah. One of the probably the biggest skateboard brand and biggest truck brand in the world.
One of the longest running.
Yes. Yeah. And we make that under license, so we get those made in factories that some of which Santa Cruz in the US make at as well, but some of the factories we just use for our production, and we produce around 50% of the line. 50 to 60% of the line is exactly the same line as they produce and manufacture in the US, but 40% of the line, or 40 to 50% of the line, is designed just for us, for the European market.
So
everything is made and has to be approved by Santa Cruz in the States.
Okay.
So we can't make anything without showing them and getting it signed off by them as a company.
And so two questions. Like you said, so we might have some stuff in the UK and Europe that they don't actually have in America.
Yes.
And do you have anyone from Santa Cruz or independent in your employee that is an in-house approver, or is it?
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
So we
do the designs and present them off to Santa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And am I allowed? I mean, I don't think I'm giving secret information when I say that Santa Cruz is part of NHS, like a massive company out in America that does the. Correct me if did they start as Santa Cruz? And
yes, they started as Santa Cruz, and then they.
And what does NHS stand for?
NHS are the names of the three guys that started it.
Right.
So Rich Novak. Is the N of NHS.
Right.
He's the owner of the whole company now.
Right.
And has been for a number of years, 25 to 30 years.
Right.
The H is Doug Hout, who is a pro surfboard designer and manufacturer. He still designs surfboards now in Santa Cruz. And a guy called Jay Sherman, who unfortunately passed away about 35 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But those were the three guys that started NHS, or started Santa Cruz Skateboards. Okay. And they started making skateboards in their garage where they were making their own surfboards. And when the surf wasn't up, they were looking for something else to do, and they started off by making. I might not have the exact numbers right, but there was a shop in Hawaii who said, "Oh well, if you're making surfboards, can you make 200 skateboards for us?" And so they did. They sourced the trucks and the wheels from places and got the decks made up, assembled them, sold them to this shop in Hawaii, and they sold them really quickly and went back and said, well, make us some more. And the business grew from there.
And from there,
that was in 1973.
Wow, okay. And then from there, they went on to create and produce independent trucks, like OJ wheels and Creature skateboards they do now, and Crux trucks, and do you distribute all of those brands as well?
Yes, we do.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
You've got like the NHS deal.
So we just manufacture Santa Cruz and indie clothing. Right. All the hard goods we just distribute for them.
You ship in and ship out to the individual retail outlets. Yeah. I mean, I'm quite again. I just want to go over that idea because I don't think understandably, your beginner skateboarder is not going to get it, but I'm not even sure sometimes if some of the sort of more experienced skateboarders get it. The skateboard shops just don't have this stuff, magically appear. They have to come and see you guys who do the work of getting in the bulk product, the bulk, like tons and tons of independent trucks and venture trucks and all the other brands that you carry here, and loads and loads of mob grip tape, then literally and metaphorically distribute it out to hence the name. I'm not sure if I'm overstating the obvious here, I don't know, but Decimal or whoever else doesn't go straight to America and straight to independent and go, I need some trucks, please. We have it in stock all the time, so that they can call us up today, quite often get it shipped the same day, and they receive it tomorrow. Nice. And we have to order quite often with certain things that are produced on a limited basis, order it 2 months before it's shipped, then it takes a month to get here. So quite often we're ordering 3 to 4 months before the product's in stock. Wow. And so just remind us, again, keeping very skateboard specific, so you've got all the NHS companies covered. Correct me if I'm wrong, you do the Skate 1 products as well, so that's all the PAL, so that's Bones, PAL like Bones wheels, all that caper is all looked after. Everything from reissue Mike McGill decks through to Bones bushings to put in your trucks. Okay, and mini logo and all that stuff. Okay, and do you do deluxe as well, right?
So we do deluxe for...
So that's Anti-Hero, Spitfire and Real skateboards.
And Thunder trucks, Venture trucks.
Right, yes, you do those too, okay.
So Real, Anti-Hero crooked boards. Spitfire wheels, Thunder trucks and Venture trucks.
Is that all part of deluxe?
So that's all part of deluxe.
See, you've educated me, brilliant, thank you. Not that I'm amazingly educated myself, but I didn't know that also covered Thunder and Venture, that deluxe for them as well, okay. Right, okay, nice.
And we distribute those brands in a number of countries as well, so we do...
Right, so not only here in the UK?
No, so we do Finland, Portugal, and there are a couple of other countries as well that we do, but I can't confirm which ones.
Some other ones.
Some of the Nordic countries that we're allowed to sell that product into as well. So I believe it's Denmark as well. And then we distribute Thrasher magazine and Thrasher clothing, which is really in trend at the moment.
How are we doing for time? I just want to check because I know you said you got.
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay, really on trend at the moment, the Thrasher stuff, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question because I'm supposed to be a journalist and I'm supposed to be doing this properly, and it could be a bit of a challenging question for those watching, maybe depending on who you are. How do you see? And because this is core to your business, I'm guessing, how do you see the future of the skate shop at the moment? Because there's this whole, like all around us, the high street is falling apart, and major companies that we thought would never, when you've got the guy that owns Sports Direct, now owns House of Fraser, it's a bit like, wow, what the hell is going on out there? And so what do you see from your side of the business about sort of the future of the skate shop?
Well, there needs to be... Skaters need to support the core shops that are around, and those core shops that are around, if they're switched on and buy product that the consumer wants, they will be able to stay in business, because there are enough people out there that will support their local skate shop to keep them in business. It's the ones that falter are the ones that have tried to be too big and try to base themselves in a primary location where the overheads are too high and they don't do enough business to cover the overhead. There are shops out there, and there's one in Bristol that is is doing much better. Now they're not in a primary location, I understand, with 50-50, because his overhead is now much lower than it used to be, and without asking, I'm sure they do as much business as they did when they were in a primary location and had a much bigger overhead.
Yeah, so it's.
But we need core shops.
Right.
There will always be shops that we believe aren't core shops that have numerous stores throughout the UK and other countries in Europe as well. But there is always room for a core skate shop as well, so long as the people running it focus on their business and sell the right things.
And do their bit to support the core scene. Yeah, like you say. Yeah, because you're. Yeah, I think it's both, isn't it? It's the core skaters have to support the core shop in the same way that the core shop then supports the core skaters.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's always one thing that's been really interesting to me about this whole like skate your own shop. The reason we go on about skate your own shops is because they're the ones that will put on jams in your local town.
Yes, they're the ones that support the scene. Support the scene.
Yeah, they're the ones who, when you get to know them and you've been in there loads and you turn up one day because you've just been out for a skate and you've broken a kingpin and you've got no money, they're the ones that are like, well, have a kingpin and we'll sort it out later. Don't worry. Next time you come in for a deck or whatever, like we know you'll be here. Yeah. And I mean that also fits in with this whole idea about they're also the ones that start keeping their eye on like, oh, so and so's getting really good, you know, maybe we need to think about sponsoring him and then like helping him get to a competition at some point so he can start developing and start growing his skateboarding and not just be the king of the local skate park, because that's one thing.
Yes, and that's how the younger kids, and not necessarily just younger kids, but the really good local kids get noticed and get to step the next level up to become a world-renowned name, or one that's renowned throughout the UK and Europe and other countries as well.
Yeah, because by doing that they get the opportunity to start stretching their legs, metaphorically and literally, because it's all well and good if you're the best in your local skate park, but then if you can then start taking that to a national stage and being like, wow, I've got to really step up right now in this competition. I've got to really start bringing some new stuff to this, because otherwise I'm just going to get left behind while these guys are, And because I mean, you guys have got a skate team, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. And I'd hate to think how many we've got on the team, but Alan, our team manager, I'm sure would tell me if I asked him, but I probably don't want to know. But he has a budget.
Trust him to sort it out.
Well, he has a budget that he's given each year to by brand, so and it's relative to what we sell.
Right. Okay.
So it's like a percentage of what our sales are.
Right. And what do you see as the core objective of having that team?
And it's supporting local skaters. It's promoting the brands from a core point of view, and it's supporting the skateboarding scene in general, not just for the brands that we do, but for skateboarding.
For just general, for all skateboarding, Because when all of skateboarding benefits,
it's promoting if you want to consider it a sport, it's promoting the sport or the lifestyle of skateboarding. I think of it as. I don't think of it as a sport. It's a
culture. It's a lifestyle. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Did you ever skate? Did you ever do?
Yes, I still do a little bit.
Do you?
Yeah.
We can see you down the Dino at some point.
No, I can't do kick flips and things like that, but transitions.
Kick flips are well overrated. I'm well over like popping my skateboard. Like maybe I'll do some ollies every now and then.
But I still go out and roll around.
Okay.
I've got a 15-year-old who's into it, so I still roll around a little bit.
Let's organise a session at some point, man. We'll go out for a ride. Yeah, that'd be good. Where do you go? Like St George's, somewhere like that, or
no, sort of Dean Lane, or I go down down around the sort of waterfront and skate down there, or sometimes go to the pump track down by the Cumberland Basin.
I'm in. We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll get Ab good. We'll go down the Dina.
Yeah.
And go for a sesh.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Look forward to it.
Well, we could sit here and wax lyrical all day, but I know you've got an appointment that you need to get to. So maybe we'll come back and do part 2 at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, I think we've covered some good stuff, and like I'm always interested. I'm interested in this stuff because I want to educate myself about every aspect of skateboarding. If I've taught Granny to suck eggs, I'm really sorry, but I hope you guys have got something from this as well. And Mr. Allen, thank you very much for your time.
That's all right. You're welcome.
It's been a real pleasure.
Welcome to China, and
it's been amazing.
Letting me show you around for the first time.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. We might have waffled on a little bit, but until next time. See you then.